The Mission Viejo Diablos football team put on quite an impressive run to not only a CIF Southern Section championship, but a California State championship as well. At the helm is head coach Chad Johnson. With a young team that stayed healthy and only got better, the Diablos capped off a dream season. Today, we spent time with Coach Chad Johnson, talk Mission Viejo football, and much more. I'm Paul Higgins. This is Coach's Corner, and all the action starts right now.
Well, Coach, it's good that we're doing this time of year. We have the soccer goals out here, so that must mean you've had a good season.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we went deep because they're already playing games.
So, you know, you look back, it's been a week or so since you won the championship. How has that been since you've won? There was that high of winning.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was a big fan of Coach Joe Gibbs for the Redskins, and he said the day they won the Super Bowl, he went back in that night and started working on the next year.
Yeah.
So how does that play into what you've been going through?
I mean, not quite that fast, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I worked on our off-season calendar all day today, and we have it ready to go for the next season. But no, I mean, it was phenomenal celebrating by staff and everyone on Saturday morning, and we had a nice time and went down to Newport and enjoyed ourselves. And then the next week, though, you know, it's already time to start turning in gear, and you're kind of almost behind the eight ball a little bit because you played so many games, 16, and usually, you know, you have a couple weeks before Christmas break to kind of get your off-season rolling and get things prepared for January, because when you come back in January on the 8th, you're going. You know, season started for the next year. So, yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of catch-up, no doubt, a little bit of catch-up, but we're trying to enjoy it and also trying to close the season out. We got to get the rings and design them and get them ready to go, and all the championship sweatshirts. There's still a lot to do, that's for sure.
So you haven't had your banquet yet?
No, we have not. Our banquet's going to be end of January.
Yeah, well, you know, I was here in August when you guys scrimmaged against Santa Margarita. Tell me the progress that you made from that first scrimmage in your thought process. Did you know at that time you were going to go with two quarterbacks? Did you know certain things that you were going to do?
Yeah, I mean, the two quarterback thing, I think as the summer went on and we did passing league and did the Edison tournament, our own tournament, and they were both doing really well. It was very competitive. I kind of thought, you know, I'm going to at leleast give them both a chance to do it in a real game. Because 7-on-7 is one thing. When there's live rush and we saw, you know, live fire, live bullets, you know, sometimes quarterbacks don't do as well. So, you know, we wanted to see how they did in the scrimmage, and Santa Maria, I thought our offense did very well. And then the first couple of games, they were very similar in comparison in stats. So kind of kept that going, and you know, we were young as a whole. You know, so a lot of times the problems that we might have had early in the season, it wasn't just them. I mean, they had some struggles, but a lot of guys had struggles. We were so young. We had the ups and downs, and as the season went on, everyone kind of matured as a team, and our team got older, and then we were able to get hot at the end and make a run and come on with a championship.
Yeah. You and I were just talking about, you've been around coaching quite a bit. You've been a number of different schools. Yep. You're here at Mission. You're having a great time. What is it about Mission Viejo football that seems a little bit different? Is it you? Is it the support that you get? Tell me what that is. Obviously the players play, right?
Yeah.
But what is that? I can feel it when I come here.
I mean, the first thing is the community, how they support us. You know, we are a school that has a city attached to the same name, right? Mission Viejo City and Mission Viejo High School. Some schools like Tribuco or something like that, there's no city behind it. And so we have the city behind us, and then the next thing is the rich tradition. You know, obviously replacing Coach Bob Johnson has been, you know, a tall task, but even before him with Coach Crow and all of the coaches we were talking about earlier that are over there, there's been so many great coaches that have come through here and done a great job. So, you know, now that kind of it's my torch to bear, you know, I'm trying to keep it as good as I can, as high level as I can as it was left to me. And I still feel like this is a community program. You know, it's not a bunch of kids from all over the place. You know, we do have some kids from outside the area, but it's not as much as everyone thinks it is. And these kids, you know, get along. They're all best friends. They do everything together, kind of like a fraternity, right? Like Sigma Delta football. And so that's kind of the way we do it. We're a very family-oriented program, and I think that leads to our success.
When I've heard you talk to your team, both on the field, off the field, I've heard you talk to the alum, and you're very passionate about what you do. For the folks that don't know you, can you give us a little background on where you played? I know, but where you played and kind of why you fell in love with football?
Yeah, so I grew up here. I played for the Saddleback Valley Bears when I was a kid, practicing over there in Los Alisos Junior High. I went to El Toro High School and played for Mike Milner there and won a CIF championship in 1995. Coincidentally enough, it was against Servite, which is who we just beat, a couple weeks ago. That was at San Ana Bowl in 1995, and that was the same feel. It was all family. It was all of our best friends together, and I still won't forget. The next year, my senior year, we actually lost in the semifinals, and I remember staying outside the locker room till like 4 in the morning because no one wanted to leave. We didn't want, because we knew it was the last time we'd all be together. And I remember, I don't know if it was a coach, someone ordered a bunch of pizzas, and all of a sudden these pizzas showed up from like Domino's, and we're just sitting there eating them outside the locker room. And I think that's kind of the same way it is, here, and that's kind of why I fell in love with high school football. And all of the groomsmen in my wedding are all high school football teammates. It's kind of what I preach to our kids. Like, these guys are going to be your best man, your best friends, for the rest of your life. This is why it's so special, and make sure you don't take it for granted. And that's kind of what we try to do here. We try to be transformational coaches and accompany these kids as they're coming in as 14-year-old teenagers and graduating as 18-year-old adults and going off to the real world or to college. And that's kind of the biggest thing. We want to make sure that we teach them football, they have a great experience, but they're also prepared to be great husbands and great fathers and great leaders down the road.
You and I had talked about this in the past, and I asked, what makes a great football player in your mind? And I know that you've had this discussions with people, but in your mind, what is the secret behind a good football player and a football player that maybe moves on from here to go to the next level?
Yeah, I think obviously you have to have some God-given talent. Okay, especially nowadays where colleges are looking for the guys that are the right height, the right size, and all the measurables they always talk about. But after that, I think you got to have an obsession to be as good as you can be. I always tell kids, if you're playing video games more than you're preparing yourself as an athlete, then you're not serious. You're not serious about it.
Can you say that again to my kids?
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. If you're sitting there playing Call of Duty or Fortnite for more hours of the day than you are training for your sport, then you're not obsessed. It's not that important to you. And I think that, if you are obsessed, if you are crazy and a fanatic about being as good as you can be, then I think you'll move on to the next level. Because there's really no other way around it. You got to really be obsessed and work your tail off if you want to be the best you can be.
We are going to talk about the great success that you've had. I always like to learn a little bit more about you, and I think the folks do at home as well. Your thoughts of like education, because you teach as well. How do you make sure that the kids are doing that part of it and still playing what they have to play here? Because football is a very complicated game, and there's a lot of education, not only here, but right over my right shoulder inside that building.
Yeah, it's as far as film watching and developing the playbook, we spend a lot of time in the film room. We have a nice program that everyone has called Huddle, and it's a great program for us to use, and we can cut it up and make notes and teach off of film, which is, we always kind of say the eye in the sky never lies. So, what you put on film is what you put on film, and sometimes there's some things on that are really good, sometimes there's things that we need to correct. And as far as the outside of football, every single year it happens, this is unfortunate, that I'll have a college coach come in and they'll be like, we really like Johnny. Can I see his transcript, his grades? And I'll go show him the grades and I'm like, sorry, coach, Johnny's grades are not good enough to be at my college. And if Johnny's grades were good enough, Johnny would have gotten offered a scholarship right then and there. So we got to make sure that, we're kind of doing it in all phases, in the classroom, on the football field, in the film room. Like I said, you got to be obsessed, and I think that that's the one thing that we really try to preach here at Mission Viejo is you have to be a student athlete. You have to be both. You can't just be an athlete. We want you to be a student athlete. Grades are always, come first, and we've had a lot of kids go on to the Ivy League, and unfortunately we've had some kids that have 2.8s that if they would have had 3.4s, they would have gotten an offer to a UCLA or somewhere like that. And a lot of times it's as simple as I had a B+, I didn't do the extra effort to get an A-, but on the transcript, a B is a 3 and an A is a 4. So when you start adding up B's and 3s and A's and 4s, you start doing the math, all of a sudden you have a 3.0 instead of a 4.0. And I think that's something that kids, until they kind of stub their toe and go, oh no, what just happened? They don't really realize that those 88s, 89s need to be 90s. You know, those 78, 79s, they need to be 80s, you know, because those 2s and 3s and 4s, they matter.
Maybe equivalent to a 40-yarder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You're a parent
Yes.
of 3.
Yes.
How do you coach parents in this day in society?
Yeah.
We had a helicopter come by a minute ago. Was that a parent?
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, you know, that's a tough one. You know, gosh, I have a lot of opinions on that, but the biggest thing that I can say to parents out there is number one, don't try to live vicariously through your kid. You know, and it's okay if your kid, you know, isn't the best on the team. You know, just encourage them. You know, I tell my 3 kids, I say, I don't care if you score. My daughter plays soccer. My son plays football. I don't, you know, Presley, I don't care if you score 4 goals or no goals, but I want you to play your best. I want you to do the best you can do every single day, whether it's practice or a game, and help your team be successful. Same thing with my son. My son's an offensive lineman and defensive lineman. He doesn't touch the ball at all, and he shouldn't. But I tell him every single time, like, I don't care how many tackles you make. I want to know, did you do your job and did you best of your ability? Did you help your team win? Were you a good teammate? I think those are valuable lessons to teach kids. I think sometimes today's parenting world, you know, we are so obsessed with posting on social media and trying to get likes and positive comments, you know, that it really has become this really kind of egocentric, you know, thing that everyone it's just not great. I think social media has definitely, while it does benefit the athlete and getting their name out there definitely is some serious negative side effects of social media and then how the parents then act, you know, and parent their child, you know, because I think they're more into posting about their child than even their child is. So, you know, those are probably my things. And then also last thing is, you know, grades. You know, it's constantly be on top of your child's grades, constantly make sure they're doing the best they can in the classroom, so that they don't end up like the Johnny I was just talking about who had a 2.8, but if you had a 3.3, he would have got offered a scholarship.
And I know that you firmly believe in the education part, which I love to hear. We're going to talk football on the other side of the break in the sense of those 3 games that finished off your season, which was spectacular. How are you doing? How are you doing health-wise and all that? I mean, it takes a run on you guys.
Yes.
You said 16 games, but Coach, it's much more than that.
It is. Yeah, we've been going since, middle of August. So, you know, beginning of August. Yeah, you know, it's definitely a toll on your body. You know, from the standpoint of, you're just in there watching film and you're sedentary, you're not moving around, you're not working out and exercising as much, and then the stress and the pressure, it is. You know, that's the biggest thing that I feel after that win is like a balloon being let all the air out. There's got this deflation, this almost relief that we were successful, and then kind of a re-entry as a husband and a father into your own family because you haven't seen him for 16 weeks. So, you know, I'm kind of like, oh, Dad's home. Now it's kind of like awkward trying to get back into the family, but it's been great, and I'm excited for the next couple of weeks of Christmas break to hang out with my kids.
Yeah, Dad's home for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. never usually.
Never happens.
By the time I get home, they're just sleeping.
Yeah, well, I was blessed to be able to cover your final 3 games of the season. We're going to take a look at those 3 games when we come back. And as I do that, I haven't said it yet, but congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Up next, it's the road to the championship as we take a look at the final 3 games of the Diablo season that capped off a dream come true to the players and the Diablo football community. This is Coach's Corner. I'm Paul Higgins, and we'll be right back.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a unique mix of all kinds of things.
There it is. Keep going with it. Leo.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
Coach, I've got my cheat sheet here, but I'm going to set you up, okay? And then you be my analyst. You
Yeah.
help me out, okay? Okay, 13-3 overall, 2-1 in league, 7-1 here.
Yep.
But go back, finish league, what happens?
So finish the league, we're waiting to see where we're at. You know, some people were thinking they might take 12 teams to the Open, 10 teams to the Open like last year, 8 teams, we didn't know. So they decided on 8. And then we found out we were going to be one of the 4 seeds of Division II on the same side as Rancho Cucamonga as the number 1 seed. And then we got Palos Verdes at home. So we were ready for our first home game, a good team, beat some good people. They were undefeated. They had not lost. They were 10-0. So we knew we had our work cut out for us. And then we got past them. And then we had Oaks Christian at home, an extremely talented team with a bunch of Division I players and huge people, a lot bigger than us. And we were able to get by that game. And then we had a very, very difficult game at Murrieta Valley. They're an extremely good football team with a very talented quarterback, great O-line, just all around great team, well coached. And I felt like we were kind of lucky to get through that one. Okay. Their quarterback was a little banged up, and thank God he was. And we run a tough road game. I had one of my fellow coaching buddies told me, one of my mentors said, listen, to win a CIF championship, you have to win a road game and you have to win a close game, and sometimes they're the same game. Wow. And he was right. He was right. And we won that game, and then we had the CIF championship home against Servite and played really well.
Let's talk about that game, because you beat Servite 34-15. It was electric here that night. I don't know if you got a chance to step outside the coaching box to see what was going on. Were you able to see what was going on?
A couple times. I came back from halftime. When I came down that ramp from halftime, I was looking around going, holy cow, this is pretty amazing. So, yeah, electric would be the greatest way to say it. It was a very fun game. It was the first CIF championship game ever played here in football. So, we our first home game, CIF championship game was amazing, and it was a great crowd.
Standing room only crowd. You win that game 34-15. Tell me about that game.
Yeah, Luke and Dre both played that game. They played really well. We felt like we had some opportunities to throw the ball against them. They have a very young secondary, and those guys did a great job doing that. Defensively, they had an amazing offense where they utilized a lot of their speed guys, great running back, quarterback in the run game, and I thought my defense went really, really well to slow them down, and special teams played great. We converted a fake field goal, we converted a fake punt. So all 3 phases played really well, and that's kind of what you need to do to win a championship game. I think our guys got up for the moment. I think Servite's a very good team. Obviously, they're battle tested going through the Trinity League. They played all the Trinity League. So, I think we just kind of got up for the game. The home field advantage maybe helped us, and at that point in time, we were really hot. We were up and down all season, and we got really hot in the playoffs. Started playing really well, and in those last 6 games on the playoffs, we probably played our best football. So, they kind of caught us on a bad night.
What do you contribute that, getting hot at that time of year?
Yeah.
That is like a hit and a miss, right?
Yeah.
Was it everybody was healthy, or it was you coaching, or tell me about that?
No, that's the biggest one is everyone was healthy. Going to the CIF championship game, we only had one starter from the first game of the year that wasn't still starting because of an injury. It was one offensive lineman. Other than that, all 21 other guys were the same guys. Special teams were the same guys. So, that's number 1. Number 2, we were young. We were very young. And I think as the season went on, our young guys got old. They matured. And when we went to the playoffs, we were not playing with sophomores anymore. We were playing with juniors now. And they were hungry and ready to go, and they had confidence now that we already made the mistakes. We know what we're doing now. Let's go do this. And they played some excellent football.
Talk about the next game you had against Granite Hills. They came in from the San Diego area.
Yeah.
Down 14-0.
Yeah.
And then you guys went on a run and scored 49 unanswered points.
Yeah, that's a very good football team. Beat Carlsbad and Lincoln to get to that point, which are 2 great programs. And they're a very physical running team, very fast tempo. It was really hard to practice for them because they were so fast. And then defensively, their defensive line was probably the best we've seen all year long, extremely physical. So once again, we kind of felt like we had to throw the ball to be successful in that game. We didn't know how well we could run it because their D-line was so good. And we were fortunate enough to do that. Then defensively, once we got caught up to their tempo and the speed of pace of play, we settled down and started making plays defensively. And as you said earlier, 49 unanswered. 49 unanswered is crazy. You know what I noticed about that game, especially after that game and also during the game, there was a lot of good sportsmanship. Yeah. There was a lot of respect on both sides. Yeah. Did you feel that? Yeah, we met with the coach in the CF office, the Monday before the game, and he's just a great guy, a great coach, down to earth. His kids play, good, tough football just like we do. We respect the heck out of each other, so that's what you saw. It wasn't a bunch of chipping. It wasn't, public versus private. scripted or anything like that. It was just two good public schools going at it. They have a lot of respect for each other and playing the game the right way, and I think that's what you saw.
And what was the message that you had for your team, if you can remember that, after that game against Granite Hills? Because then you were coming up with the state championship. You mentioned it here that, hey, have you ever heard of De La Salle? And a lot of kids, even my kids, who's De La Salle?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know who De La Salle is. And you tried to say that to your kids like we were playing a legendary football team. What did you say on the Monday when nobody was around?
You know, the hard part, because we played Servant on a Saturday, and we had to turn around and play Granite Hills on a Friday, so we had a short week.
Yeah.
You know, so the message to my players was, hey, we get a regular week. Okay, we get to play in our own backyard at Saddleback Junior College. It's basically a home game. And you get to play one of the greatest programs in the history of high school, if not the greatest. And they have a movie about them, you know, when the game stands tall. So I said, you know, it could not have worked out better in that we can get up for this game. You know, this is one of the greatest programs of all time, you know, from Coach Lattiser's era and now Coach Allenbaugh. And then we also knew we had a great task because of the offense they run. You know, they run option offense, power offense, an offense they'd be very disciplined defensively in. And so our kids were locked in from the Monday's meetings, and I thought we did a great job game playing, and we're fortunate enough to get a win in that game too.
Coming into that game, I know there was, as you mentioned, a lot of enthusiasm. Was it strange just going a few miles away and playing a home game?
Yeah, because you know, that's our third time playing De La Salle, and we played them once at what was the Home Depot Center, and then we played them up at Sac State, and then now we played them again at Mission Viejo, or Southback College in Mission Viejo, and it was great. You know, I thought we had a great crowd, and it was definitely in our favor. And you know, sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck to win these things. And I thought, you know, we definitely had some luck along the way, and had some help, and our kids played well, and you combine those two things together, and you end up with a ring.
So it's amazing to think now that you have two quarterbacks that are both underclassmen.
Yeah.
That you've won a state championship, a CIF championship. You've done quite a bit. Do you feel like, we always hear about this, do you feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong about it, because it's high school, do you feel like the pressure's on to do it again? I know we hear that question all the time, but now, you know, if you win Trinity League or something like that, you win this, whenever you win, you got a target on your back.
No doubt. You know, offensively, we have a lot of weapons coming back. You know, we do lose 3 offensive linemen, but we have everybody else back. Defensively, we lose some great players in Trayvon Tolmer and Travis Anderson, our linebackers. So defensively, a little bit more of a rebuild, but we have some great players back there as well. I think, yeah, I mean, I think now the goal is to try to take, you know, the next step. And see if we can get to the Open and see if we can, you know, have a season like we did 2 years ago where we actually beat Corona Centennial and maybe now compete with the Bosco and Mater Days if we can. The nice thing about the way they have it set up now is every year is different. You know, you're not locked into a division because of a Division I player that has now gone to college, and because that guy was so good, you're now elevated into a division you don't belong in. You know, every year is its own year, and we're going to schedule a lot of tough opponents in our preseason, and we're going to see how we do. At the end of the day, if we go to the Open, great. If we don't, we don't. I mean, it's kind of the way it is, and I'm just excited for next year and hoping that you know, we keep on getting better and we have a chance to move back to the Open and see what we can do.
Yeah, you talk about next year, which is already here, you know. What is your philosophy about a football player playing other sports?
Oh, love it. You know, my only rule is, you know, play as many sports as you want, just make sure you're lifting. You know, I was a multi-sport athlete in high school, not a very good one, but I played multiple sports, and I support that. You know, I like our guys going off and playing basketball or wrestling. I like guys going into track and whatever else. My only rule is we got to make sure we're lifting, because if we're not lifting weights, then we're going to have a really tough time competing with the big boys.
Yeah, it's okay if I put you on the spot right here with a question?
Sure.
Okay. And I don't know if you had this question before, but if you can repeat after me and answer the question.
Okay.
3 words that describe me are?
3 words that describe me are, I would say passionate. You know, I think we try to do everything as collective intelligence. You know, I put a premium on doing things that are smart, that are scientific based in the weight room and everything else. I think put a lot of thought into what we do. And then the last one is, you know, I think we have a lot of empathy and care for our kids. You know, at the top, when I did my master's degree, they asked us to kind of build a John Wooden pyramid, you know, and you know, I put the top of my pyramid was love. You know, I want our kids to love each other, you know, not in a weird way, you know, but, you know, like the same way, you might love a friend or something like that. You know, that's what we want. We want it to be okay to tell these kids that we love them and they love us and love being a part of this program. And I think I think that's the success that we're looking for is if we can build that, you know, and take care of each other like we would take care of, you know, our own mothers, you know. And if we can build that in our program, I think we're successful, whether we win a game or not.
If you weren't coaching football, what sport would you be coaching?
Basketball. I coached basketball for a long time. I coached basketball all the way through Tribuco to St. John Bosco, who actually was fortunate enough to win a state championship in basketball at Bosco with Derek Taylor, a CIF championship with Coach Taylor. You know, those are some fond memories too. Got to coach some really good players that made it all the way to the NBA. And so, yeah, it'd be basketball for sure.
Yeah, I was mentioning to my son, who's actually filming this, that Coach Mike Rush, who's up on the scoreboard, was my very first Coach's Corner show.
Wow.
Back then, and you followed some amazing coaches here, and your time has already come in the sense that you've already made a name for yourself. How does that make you feel? It's just stating the obvious here, but how does that make you feel to already have made a name for yourself at 43 years old here at Mission?
Yeah, I first of all, I think I'm very fortunate and lucky, you know, from not only from the kids that we've had play for us, but the coaching staffs that I've worked and been a part of. You know, there's one thing that I know, it's not just one person. It takes a lot of people. Like I mentioned earlier, collective intelligence, all of us, you know, pulling the rope in the same direction, rowing the boat in the same direction, whatever you want to say. That's the main thing, is it's all about we, not me. And I think sometimes coaches lose sight of that, and they kind of think it is all about them, and I think you know, when they start talking about your program and yourself in the third person, you've gone wrong. So, you know, that's not us. You know, we are all about, you know, we're all in this together, and all of our coaching staff are integral parts. We talk about our scout team every single week about how important they are. You know, that there's every single person in the program has a role, has a job, and no one's more important than the other. And it's really important that our scout teams get us ready for the football games on Friday nights, and that we try to celebrate that as much as we can, so everyone feels like they're a part of the program.
Well, what I can tell you is that you make everyone feel special. You made me feel special covering your last 3 games of the season. So thank you for that. Thank you for doing this during the holiday season. I know that we're going to air this throughout the year, but of course, congratulations. What an amazing run. Coach Johnson, always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man. That was awesome. Yep, did a great job.
Thank you.